everybody, this is Caitlin here, and welcome to a new video for all of you today. Today in particular, we are actually going to be discussing, well, it's kind of funny how we're going to be discussing it. We're going to be discussing the Force of Will Echoes of the New World teaser trailer. Now, I know it might seem a little bit odd to be analysing a teaser trailer considering it was only like 15 seconds long, but I wanted to bring up a couple of points about a couple of certain images, because literally the teaser trailer only flashed through like a couple of like artwork pieces or whatever that are maybe going to be featured in promo art, in posters or in cards or whatever for this set that's coming up, and a couple of them actually piqued my interest quite a lot, so I actually wanted to discuss them a little bit. I know that obviously we still need to wait for a little bit before we get like a proper full-on trailer for Echoes of the New World, but I am pretty hyped about it, guys, so I just wanted to give it a little discussion and whatnot, and let me know what you guys think about some of the images that we saw in the teaser trailer. Some of them I think are actually really interesting and open up a lot of points of discussion, and obviously it gets us hyped for the next set, because we've still got some time until we've got spoilers for that. So first of all, we have this picture here that I've started off with of Yogg Sothoth. Now, if you remember way back in Curse of the Frozen Casket, he was the darkness ruler for that set, but ever since then, he's not really contributed anything to the story. So Yogg showed up, he was a darkness ruler, he had a couple of dark Cthulhus and whatever, he had like a spell or whatever with him meeting Nyarlathotep and everything like that. Not sure if they actually met in canon in the lore. I don't remember there being a point where they bumped into each other or whatever, or maybe I'm not memorising that right. But looking at this, he looks as if, he's kind of like playing Phantom of the Opera a little bit, because on the other side of his face there, he's got a mask coming out of his face, and, you know, he's wielding what looks to be one of his massive keys and everything like that. And this piece of artwork was actually featured in, you know, the little pamphlet that they came in with Return of Dragon Emperor. So he was at the back of it, like, you know, kind of advertising the next set and everything like that. So he looks like he's doing some kind of trickery or whatever. Not quite sure if he's going to be story relevant, because that's the thing with these teaser trailers. Sometimes you think maybe everything will be like lore or story relevant, or, you know, really, really important. Not everything has to be, obviously, because, like, you know, they want to hype it up. They want to pick their best appealing looking cards ever to show it off and everything like that. So Yogg might not end up being like a total game player, I feel like, because obviously he's a Cthulhu as well, and I feel like if he was going to pick a side, he wouldn't actually pick a side or anything. I feel like he'd be fighting it out for the Cthulhus and everything like that. So maybe it's going to be like this big massive battle royal between all the major villains, whatever. So you've got Gil Lapis, you've got Gil Alhammer, maybe Yogg Sothoth will like turn up, Makagi's going to jump in there in the fray and all that stuff. So it could just be a big massive rumble between all the baddies, and then the heroes can come up and sweep and clean up and everything like that. But I'm not too sure what's going on with Yogg here. He is looking pretty dapper in his top hat and everything like that, and he's got this really cool, it's kind of like shoulder pad chainmail. I'm not quite sure what you would call that. He's got like the weird shoulder pads and everything like that, and the big golden chain and everything. So he's looking pretty swaggy there. But other than that, I'm not too sure what we can make from his appearance. He might just be a cool looking resonator, because everyone was like getting hyped up when what was his name? The Azarat? What is his name? I can't remember now. You know the guy who was the Dark Prophet or whatever? Abdul, that was it. I can't believe I forgot his name there. Abdul. Everyone freaked out when Abdul showed up as a resonator back in Curse of the Frozen Casket, but in the end he actually didn't end up doing anything. So maybe this is similar to that, where Yogg is just showing up being like maybe a cool resonator or whatever for darkness. Next up, we have this peculiar looking lady here, and from straight away, as soon as I saw this image, I was like, this is going to be the last luminary. This is going to be Luna, I believe, because her name was dropped in one of the recent lore articles or whatever as the last surviving luminary, along with Sol, but I believe that lore article took place before the battle against Sol took place. So as of Echoes of the New World, I believe Sol is defeated and could possibly be dead. So Luna would be the last surviving luminary, because Gil Lapis actually killed 3 of them off screen. So we're not even going to meet the other 3 potentially, but I believe this is Luna, the last luminary. And why do I think that? Well, there's a lot of things pointing to it. Obviously, she has got this epic looking staff here, which if you can tell by the shape of it, is forming a crescent moon, which, you know, Luna, moon, makes sense that she's the luminary that represents the moon. She also has this strange looking cat thing with 2 bells and like a collar, and if you remember, all of the luminaries that we have currently met have always been pictured or have always came with their familiars. So the familiars usually help them out in terms of like producing mana counters or different effects and whatnot. So I feel like potentially Luna is going to be the last luminary. Not quite sure what kind of typing she would be, because obviously Sol, he was like the luminary of steam, but his attribute, or rather his like planet that he symbolized, was the sun, but he was water and red, so he was fire and water. In terms of Luna, because Gel Alhama already represents light and black, I feel like she wouldn't represent light and black again, because, you know, she's more got a kind of like blue-white motif going on, even though like her familiar there is kind of black. So I feel like if she's going to represent something, I feel like because she represents the moon, it would be more likely that she's a black resonator or even a ruler, but I doubt they would make another luminary ruler, considering we've already got 3, and, you know, most people would pick Gil Alhamut for ancient magic use. I feel like potentially she might be a resonator, because I feel like this is a girl. This looks like a girl, certainly. I feel like maybe she is leaning towards maybe black and blue, potentially. Or maybe not, if she's not a dual attribute kind of resonator or whatever, I definitely feel like she's going to be representing black. Because I just feel like, you know, it's the power of the moon, or at least, like, you know, she's dressed in, like, the dark clothing and, like, the bluish cloak, and she's got these weird little blue glowing orbs coming out of her. I feel like she's got something to do with darkness, but I could be wrong, because I've been wrong with my predictions before. Next up, we have this curious little creature right here. Now, I was debating this with a couple of my friends and whatnot. We were talking about who is this Kana lookalike here with the little chibi horns and like her bright yellow eyes and everything like that. And a couple of like ideas were cropping up here and there. One of us thought, well, one of my friends actually thought that maybe this is Priscia through her power of reincarnation. But I strongly feel against this. I feel like the only connection with that is that she's got twin tails or whatever in her hair. But I really don't think it's got anything to do with Priscia. I feel like this girl, if she's not plot relevant, I feel like she's a dragonoid of some fashion. The kind of white hair and the yellow eyes seem to like suggest to me that she's maybe related in some way to Ryula in a little bit, because I believe the symbol on her forehead may be the symbol of the dragonoids. But at the same time, I'm also thinking, well, at the same time, some of the Altians who showed their true form through, like, if you remember Rachel in her angel form or whatever, she's got horns and everything like that, and I feel like, it's another theory or whatever, but I did want to make a theory that the Altians are not actually wizards, but they're demons. And that's why they always got familiars or whatever, but I'll go into that theory another week or whatever. But I feel like if she's not a dragonoid, I think she's maybe some kind of, maybe a light demon of some sort, because she's got the kind of pure white hair and everything like that. I did make a joke saying that maybe this is actually Gil Alhamut's true child or whatever, that she had, that he had with, Viola or whatever. And I also made the joke that maybe the last set of this cluster is going to pull a Millennia of Ages, and we're going to see the future that we're no longer going to be a part of, and this is actually Milliam and Ryula's child. But maybe not. Maybe this is just going to be like a generic resonator that's not plot relevant or whatever, but it looks super, super cute. And I love her, and she needs to be protected at all costs. Next up here, we have the 3 vampire sisters, the daughters of the Mikage, or at least the current 3 ones that we know about in the game. I can't remember all their names. I believe it's Rinka, is it Yoshihime, and then I can't remember the last one's name, because I didn't get the Mikage deck or whatever, so I can't actually remember her name, but I apologise for that. So we've got the 3 vampire daughters. So this strongly suggests that Mikage is going to play some kind of role, because obviously we saw him in the poster that was seen advertising the new set, and his daughters are showing up. So I feel like maybe they're either going to be like a spell, or some kind of like resonator, like, you know, the 3 daughters of the Mikage or something like that. We do know that Mikage has a 4th daughter that's not been revealed in the card game, although I believe her name was dropped in the lore. But and like she's said to be the strongest of the vampires, so or the vampire daughters or whatever. So I feel like we are going to maybe see the last daughter, and we're going to see some more vampire support in the set. Because obviously we've got the appearance of the sisters. Mikage is probably going to be a part of it as well. So prevail all the darkness decks who love using vampires in it. I'm not quite sure what else to say about it. It's just, you know, the 3 sisters looking quite wicked in all honesty. Next up, we've seen this promo image or whatever of Zero countless times. It's on one of the promo picture posters, whatever, for Echoes of the New World. I've talked about it quite a couple of times, whatever, in regards to why this kind of like image of Zero supports the idea that she could potentially be the traitor. She could potentially actually just be fighting Lapis and whatnot. I'm not too sure, really. It's kind of hard to say, but it does feel like a strong indicator that Zero is going to play a major part in this cluster, because they've been hyping her up. Her picture's been seen everywhere alongside the promo picture of Gil Lapis with the kind of dark-looking Excalibur sword. So I feel like whatever Zero's involvement in it, it is going to be big, and it's going to play a major part in the story. Last but not least, we have this kind of blurry image, and I apologise that it's not better quality or whatever. I was trying to find a better kind of screen grab of it, but I couldn't really find a better one. So my apologies if this looks a little bit blurry or whatever to the camera, but I will explain what's going on here. So here we have obviously a kind of preview image or a stock image of what potentially the booster box is going to look like. We've got a little kind of preview at what their current stock photo for the booster packs are, but as we all remember, booster pack artwork can change, because as we saw in the Return of the Dragon Emperor, the first images we saw for the booster packs featured Viola and Viola, and then that quickly changed to the kind of mock-up poster image of kind of almost all 5 of the rulers, featuring Gil Alhamut and Lapis and Precian and everything like that. So this pack art might change in the future, but from the pack art here, it's obviously featuring Millium and Lapis, and then at the bottom here, I believe it is featuring Luna and the weird kind of white-haired dragon-looking girl off to the side there. So one is actually on Millium's side, Luna is actually situated on Millium's side, and then the weird kind of dragonoid girl is actually situated on Lapis' side. Whether or not this means that the respective people will be siding with the certain rulers, essentially Lapis or Millium, remains to be seen. I don't know. Maybe Luna actually turns out to be a good luminary, and she's actually, she's determined to defeat Lapis or whatever. Maybe Lapis actually finally defeated Alhamut, and she's figuring like, what, the enemy of my enemy is my friend, so I'm going to help Millium defeat Lapis because we don't want him winning. But the curious thing I find here is the box topper. Now, as we know, box toppers tend to take artwork from cards that are featured in the set. As we know, previously in Return of the Dragon Emperor, we had card toppers ever for Millium, we had them for Prisia, Alhamut, Lapis, and blah blah blah. So I don't think that this is taking artwork from a ruler, because obviously it would be weird if it features all these characters. But in particular, I feel like this artwork is either from a card, because if you look to the side here, it almost looks as if it's a picture frame or a storybook. Because if you look at like the far left side there, it almost looks as if like it's the middle section of a book. So I feel like this is kind of be featuring in a card that perhaps is being read from Scheherazad's book, because as we know in the lore or whatever, Scheherazade is actually telling the story of Lapis Cluster to reflect and to refrain. So I feel like this page here in particular is a page where she's talking about all the heroes who are going to be fighting against the darkness or whatever. So featured we've got Charlotte, Alice, Kaguya, Nyarlathotep, Millium, Prisia, Lumia, and then Little Red in the far corner. So I think this page confirms to us who are all the hero team, essentially. Who's all the good guys. Of course, we can't see the full picture ever. It's cut off at the top. We don't know whether the final card will reveal who else is featured in the picture, but I feel like this card, or at least this box topper, depicts a card that is talking about a storybook possibly being read by Scheherazade, because look at the far corner. It definitely looks like the spine of a book with some text to the other side and whatnot. So that's my feeling for this kind of box topper, and I feel like this strongly indicates who the hero team are, essentially. So I think my theory about maybe Charlotte or Prisia maybe being the bad guy is kind of being a little bit debunked, or, you never know. There's still time for things to change or whatever. I don't know what's going to be happening, and I can only make little theories about it, which I hope you guys enjoy and everything like that. So that's been my kind of analysis of the teaser trailer. When the full English trailer actually comes up, I will probably do another little analysis on that, because hopefully it will have more information, more awesome pictures and like pieces of artwork and everything for us to discuss. They will probably have like a little bit of like a battle summary or whatever for the story and everything like that. Maybe a little indication as to who our rulers could be, because we know that there's 5 rulers, but there's only 2 special magic stones, which is really curious. So until next time, guys, I will see you all later.